You know I'm right live. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese. And Joe, let me talk to you. Yeah, we are
Yeah.
live here. Of course, you are tuning in. You probably have seen us before doing our podcast version, talking to some great guests around the world of sports, media, and entertainment. And we're going to continue doing that, of course, every week. Wednesday, the podcast comes out, but giving you a live show here for the time being, once a week right now, where we're going to discuss what's going on in sports, media, and entertainment. And Joe will get right into it with our first topic here, which is kind of at the intersection of everything we tend to talk about here. And we'll start off the premiere episode of You Know I'm Right Live, where we are going to be talking about the fact that the Super Bowl halftime show act is rumored to be Miley Cyrus. I'm not a fan of that. And
Don't say it because you want Taylor Swift to perform. I know how you think. Miley's going to kill it. Miley's going to be awesome.
They said solo Miley Cyrus with nobody else. We could discuss who else could who else could have done it, but obviously it seems like you're a fan here, so tell me why I should be psyched up for Miley Cyrus and why her over other people is going to really be an appeal to middle America.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the middle America appeal immediately is a huge thing. You have to understand something. The halftime show over the past 10 years or so, they want to appeal to women the most. And it's probably started, since Beyonce? I would say, I forgot what year she did. I think it was 2013 when they did it in New Orleans, right? So at least with Miley, she can go out on stage. She could rock out. They could say that she's doing it solo like Rihanna did last year, sure. But there's a bunch of names out there, especially a couple bands, a couple of acts, maybe like a Stevie Nicks that they could get involved that could perform with her. She's got a couple of great hits that I think would translate well to the Super Bowl halftime show, including Party in the USA. So,
well, that's what I want to ask you. Does she open or close with Party in the USA?
She'll close with Party in the USA.
Okay, so she's going to come in like a wrecking ball.
Correct. Bingo.
Come in swinging on the wrecking ball.
There you go.
All right, so you're a fan of this. You think it's going to work out. You think it'll be electric. I don't know. I'm just surprised they picked her because I don't think she's at that level.
She can put on a great overall performance, right? And that's what really, really you need. The best halftime shows, whether it's like Bruno Mars and the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they incorporate a little bit of a mix of everything, right? And they appeal to a broader scope of people. Now, like I said at the beginning, I know you kind of want Taylor Swift to do this because she's the biggest pop star in the world right now. I think you could get away with somebody like Ed Sheeran doing it. I had a friend talk to me the other day. He went to MetLife, the show with that Ed Sheeran did, and he had a MetLife Stadium attendance record of 89,000 people there. So he certainly fits the bill as well. But I think Miley is a tremendous choice. I think she's relevant to a lot of people, especially a more younger demographic, not necessarily the older demographic, but I think she would absolutely kill it. I do.
Well, we'll see. Hasn't been officially announced yet, but TMZ is reporting it and some radio stations, so it's probably going to be her. And we'll see how that goes. So alternate options, Ed Sheeran's huge right now. Taylor Swift, she's selling out all these football stadiums on her own, getting better attendance than a lot of football teams. So she probably would have been the obvious choice, but who knows? We got to work these things out money-wise, and of course, we are powered by StreamYard, so we thank them for helping us out here. But money talks, so maybe the money wasn't there, so Taylor Swift walked. Because she's the biggest star out there, Joe, that hasn't done the Super Bowl.
Right, and she's
you got to wonder. It's a matter of when is she going to do it? If not this year, when?
Every year she's rumored. She's one of those few rumored acts that they're talking to. Will she do it this year? Will she not do it this year? Right. I do think at some point within the next 3 to 5 years, she will perform at the Super Bowl halftime show. I would say either next year or the year after. It'd be a good time.
Rihanna last year, I had really high expectations, but it was okay.
She's
Obviously, she was a
pregnant.
little limited because she's carrying a child, so she was
Yeah.
awesome doing that. I mean, 9 people could perform to that level. Who else could you see doing a halftime show in the years coming? I think Ed Sheeran's a good choice.
Right.
I would love to see an Adele halftime show, but I don't think that would play too well with the excitement. But I think she's on that level.
Yeah, well, it's like I said, the halftime show, they try to mostly appeal to women. That way you keep the eyeballs on there because it's halftime show is usually the men's portion of the break of the whole night. So the halftime show primarily keeps the women. So like I said, when they do acts that appeal to everybody, Adele is a tremendous performer. No doubt she would kill it. She has the hits that would perform well at the halftime show. But overall, it's just like you're waiting for those big 2 or 3 songs, and I don't know if there's much else to that.
See, I always felt they should have continued and gone back to multiple people doing the halftime show. It's just better
Yeah,
that way.
I agree. I like when there's 2 or 3 acts to it. Those have been some of my favorite halftime shows in the past.
Give me some of your least favorite. For me, Madonna is
Black
really
Eyed
bad.
Peas, the Black Eyed Peas were not
Prince,
good.
Paul McCartney. I mean, those are some of the worst.
Prince was good. I like Prince.
You're a Prince guy.
Right. I was gonna say the year that they did, I think it was Bruno's return show with Beyonce and Coldplay.
Yep.
I think it was too much going on at once. All 3 good individually. Like Beyonce wasn't bad at all. She was great. Destiny Child was great that year. But usually it works when you have like 2 acts like coming together, right? Like Katy Perry that year that she did it was fine because she had Lenny Kravitz, and who else did she have that year? Was it Missy Elliott? Yeah, I think it was Missy Elliott. So that was fun. But the Black Eyed Peas, I think right off the top of my head, were definitely the worst.
Now, if the Black Eyed Peas do it, is Fergie coming back?
Yeah,
she's out of the group right now.
Yeah, you can't do it without her.
She's not in the band. So what do you do with the girl who replaced her?
They'll never go back to that though. Usually, if you do it once, it's very. I think outside what Bruno Mars did it twice. But obviously, Beyonce I just mentioned it did it twice. I'm trying to think of somebody else who did it or an act that did it twice.
That's it. Those 2.
Right. Yeah. Recently.
How much money would it take to get in sync to do it? You got to call Justin Timberlake.
They did it before.
Let's get it back together. Bring it back.
That's another one. I think it was the year the Giants lost to Baltimore. It was NSYNC. It was Britney Spears. It was Aerosmith, and I forgot who else. I think it was Nelly and somebody else. But like, again, it's great, but it's like it's too many things going on at once because why do you want 5 big acts doing like 1 song each, right? You want a good act that appeals to a lot of people, banging out 5, 6, 7 hits. Actually, I actually liked Maroon 5 a lot, but the year that they did the Super Bowl halftime show was not good.
How about Drake? I think Drake would be great. No?
Doesn't appeal. Not enough of a broad appeal.
I think Drake's got more of an appeal than Miley Cyrus, though. But you're talking, like you said, straight to the
50-50. Yeah, but like Drake can only play a certain range of songs. At least with Miley, like you can expand. Like I said, you want to get Stevie Nicks involved. You want to do a dual performance. You want to get her godmother involved, Dolly Parton. I think Miley and Dolly being on the stage at the Super Bowl halftime show, I think a lot of people would love that.
How about Miley brings out Paris Hilton and they sing together? How about Olivia Rodrigo? Maybe she'll be a future halftime star.
No. What is she going to play?
Well, she's got a big future ahead of her, So she's only, 17? We'll see. All right. So speaking of music here, Joe, you recently went to the Blink-182 concert.
I did.
And you thought it was great, but the recent one that just happened the other day had some major news come out of it. And Kourtney Kardashian Barker revealed to Travis that she was pregnant. How did you like the way that kind of unraveled? You think Travis liked that? Don't you think he maybe would have liked a more intimate, private moment? Like, how do you react from that and then go back to drumming? What was your take on this as the big Blink-182 guy?
This is where the differences between you and I come into play. The reason that Kourtney did it is that it is a callback to the All the Small Things video,
Music video.
the music video, and it was perfectly done. And I have to say, since that whole relationship started, now you got to remember something. Most people recognize the Kardashians and their associations with certain people, right? You associate Kim and Kanye together, you associate Chloe and Lamar Odom, and you associate Kourtney and Scott Disick, right? So it's like to go from Scott to Travis Barker. A lot of people were like, where did that come from? It's out of nowhere. You know, it seems like different worlds colliding. So when you're a fan of a certain genre of music and you're a fan of like Blink 182 and Green Day and all those great bands from the 90s and the early 2000s, right? You know, your guy Travis Barker, all of a sudden he's dating and is married to Kourtney Kardashian. You're like, a Kardashian, what are you doing? Right. But it was so well done. And I think it showed an appreciation for the band itself and the history and everything. And I don't think it could have been better done at all. I actually think Travis probably appreciated that more so than maybe like a more intimate, like one-on-one announcement together.
And what do you think Scott Disick's thoughts are?
He's too busy going after girls in their early 20s to care.
Oh boy. Well, I'm sure he's upset, but they've been married a while now, so it's kind of settled in here. If you watch the Kardashians on Hulu, which nobody does now, they took the money grab. They left nobody watches them anymore on Hulu, but Kourtney and Travis are trying to have a kid. So congratulations to the happy couple, and we wish them all the best. Moving on, we're sticking with music though, Joe. An unfortunate accident happened recently as Staten Island's very own Bebe Rexha
Staten Island great
gets hit with a cell phone, black eye, but she's good. Everything is all right. She's going to hopefully once again have the best night of her life. Bebe Rexha, I hope you get well. Joe, this is just a crazy thing here. First of all, I got to ask you, what kind of phone do you think was thrown at her? Was it like an old Razor? Was it Sidekick? Did someone just take their Android or iPhone and chuck it at her? Because at that point, it's like, you're not getting your phone back.
Right.
You're going to get arrested. Why'd you bother to come to the concert?
It looked bulky.
It's just a big mess.
Yeah, it looked bulky. So it was probably an iPhone or an Android that was in an actual case. That's what it looked like to me anyway. I just watched the video before.
Could you imagine having so much fun at the concert that you paid a lot of money for to stand in the front, that you take your phone instead of filming the concert like every other idiot, and you want to chuck it at Bebe Rexha? What did you think was going to happen then?
It's like the streaker at a football or a baseball game, or like the person who wants to go on the field and make everything about themselves. Like, I don't understand. I really don't get it. I mean, I feel bad for her, right?
Yeah,
I think a performance and you get a black eye. She's got a shiner too.
You could take care of her. Take her to Lee's Tavern.
You have never been there. You should go eventually. It was in discussions over the weekend when we did the WFAN softball game. I made the suggestion to Sal Licata to go eat either Danino's or Lee's, and we eventually stayed and hung around at the ballpark. Thanks to our guy Gary Perone. Shout out to him. He's awesome. But yeah, again, she's walking around now with a shiner, and when you put it on the rundown, I didn't realize it had happened. And then when I saw the video, I was like, holy, it's terrible.
Well, it was wild, that's for sure. But we wish her the best. Bebe Rexha, Joe, where does she rank on the all-time great Staten Islanders?
She ranks very high now, I think. I think she ranks a little more high now after I don't know if she's on Mount Rushmore though. I debate that.
You're a big Rich Eisen guy.
I'm a huge Rich Eisen guy. Rich Eisen. Who else? Pete Davidson. Even though he's not everybody's cup of tea, he's got. I think he at least displaced his own co-worker Colin Jost, who used to be up there. It's very hard to leave off somebody who's married to Scarlett Johansson, but I think Pete Davidson is there. Definitely Rich Eisen. I would have to go through this because you could debate like Christina Aguilera, but I don't know if she like really counts. It's kind of like
abandoned.
Yeah,
kind of abandoned place.
So Bebe was born in Brooklyn, like yours truly, and she
went to Untitled High School though.
Went to Untitled High School. So she married. She moved to Staten Island at 6, right? So it's like she's counted in the cutoff.
Right, and you got a lot of people from maybe like the Revolutionary War times, of course, Huguenot a very famous place here. And, you can go all the way back. Staten Island's had some great people. Emilio Estevez,
Yes,
he was born on Staten Island.
absolutely, he counts.
You got the guys from Practical Jokers. I know you're a big fan.
Wu-Tang Clan, right? So
Wu-Tang, a lot of mob people.
yep.
Angelina, Vinny situation
From
from the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, they count.
There's a lot of notable people. Alyssa Milano, Sukanya Christian. I mean,
Yeah,
the list goes on and on. So it's tough.
Alyssa and Christina are kind of like on the cutoff where they're associated, but I don't know if I would put them in that category.
Martin Sheen,
counts
Tony
like
Reale.
Emilio Estevez. Tony Reale is a good one. Tony Reale might have to be up there because Around the Horn, one of the most successful shows in the history of ESPN. Shout out to some of our guys, Jay Mariotti and Woody Page, for being on the podcast with us in the past.
Yeah, there's a lot of names. So maybe one day we'll do a deeper dive into that. But lots of great Staten Islanders. But I'm going to put Bebe up there because she, unlike these other people who you hear about, she reps Staten Island hard. And she likes it. She's not afraid of it to say from Staten Island. And she doesn't want to say bad things about it. There's a lot of great places in Staten Island. You were out recently over the weekend. You mentioned it before, but Front Row Joe strikes again. You went to the WFN Carter Roberts versus Tiki and Tierney softball game, and no surprise to anybody who follows the show, who follows you at Joey Cals on Instagram. You were front row, and you seemed to have a great time, Joe.
I did. So I got there. The very first person that I saw was BT, Brandon Tierney, in his truck as we were circling around looking for parking. So I think the precinct over there on Richmond Terrace, I think they made room for a couple of the people who were in the game. Now, I'm not sure if it was like Evan or Carton, but I do know that BT did not park his truck in the garage. He parked it across the street in the lot where the other cop cars were. So I think they got the accommodation to do that. But I parked my car in the garage. The second person that I saw was our guy, Tom Izzo, who does digital producing and production for WFAN.
MVP of the game, some would say, at least the first game.
Yeah, so the two biggest and best shots in the game were hit by Tom Izzo and Cody Decker. And the games itself were fun. Tiki and Tierney dominated the first game, and then they adjusted on the fly because it was supposed to be one game. But Team Evan and Roberts won the second games. Carton had a blast. Two of his sons played on his team in the game, and his youngest son did the PA announcement, and he was, I would say, the MVP of the whole night because he made it a lot of fun. He had a lot of great witty one-liners. The delivery was impeccable. He had most of the stadium in laughs the whole night. So shout out to Craigie, great dad. He had nice things to say. BT got on the mic later on the night, praised Craig. He had a lot of great moments with his kids throughout the night. But yeah, so I got there about a half hour before everything started. I got to see Craig, thank him. I got to see Sal, mentioned earlier, said hello to him. And then I moved from that dugout to the other dugout because more of our friends were in the Tiki and Tierney dugout. Got to speak to BT between innings. Got to speak to Keith McPherson, the nighttime host now. Shout out to him. His episode
of You Know I'm Right out tomorrow. If you're watching this live tomorrow, Wednesday, June 21st with Keith McPherson. Check it out. Yep.
He's awesome. Got to speak to him between innings. And then Tiki was coming out periodically every couple of innings and just signing autographs for the kids. But after the game, I hung around the netting area. I got to speak to Tiki. It was awesome. I got to speak to Mac. It was awesome. Shout out to him as well. And then Gary sent me up after the game as I was on my way out. He caught me, loved the You Know I'm Right hat. And he was like, here, come hang out with us, And had a really, really great time overall. I was there maybe almost 4 hours. I got there right before 6. I left there right before 10 o'clock. So it was dicey for a little bit because the rain clouds came in and we weren't sure if it was going to rain and disrupt everything. But everything held off, stayed to the north of us. And truly, truly a great night. One of the better nights I've had out in a while.
Well, Joe mentioned the You Know I'm Right hat. So if you want your merchandise, send us a message on Instagram at YKR Podcast, and we will make it happen. So lots of stuff going on right now, of course, in the world and of sports, entertainment, everything. Again, this is the premiere episode of You Know It Right Live. We'll come to you once a week for now and talk about all the big topics in sports, media, and entertainment. Moving on to sports here. Big news in the NBA offseason right now, Joe. All these rumors galore popping up here. And the big news, of course, was Bradley Beal. He's finally traded after 7 years of trade rumors. Big whoop. I don't think it's going to do anything for the Suns. The guy's barely going to play. And if he does play, then Devin Booker is going to be hurt. And if he's not hurt, then Kevin Durant's going to be hurt. So they're big three. Maybe they play 5-6 games together this season. They're not going to be better than the Denver Nuggets, that's for sure. But the interesting part of that trade, I think, is Chris Paul going to the Wizards. He had no idea he was being traded. His son sent him a text message. Oh, I saw on social media he got traded to the Wizards. He's not going to play a game for the Wizards. He wants to try to win at least or go somewhere of note. And now the question is, does he get bought out or does he get traded? And the Knicks, maybe they're going to be in on Chris Paul. They've been in on him for like 5 years now. The Knicks are also in on Kristaps Porzingis, who they traded for no reason, and they got nothing back. He's on the Wizards right now.
They won the trade. I don't know what you're talking about. They cleared all that cap space. They signed Julius Randle. They acquired picks in the trade. It actually...
Who did they pick with the picks?
Didn't they get the Quickly? Because they got the Clippers pick? No, I'm sorry. They got the Quickly pick from Morris in the trade. But they got a pick in that trade that they turned into one of the younger guys on the team. So... I gotta recall the exact trade exactly. They won the trade 100%. You're wrong. KP got hurt. He got hurt in Dallas.
Porzingis for the last 5 years.
He went to Dallas. He stunk, bloated the payroll, and they traded him. But I will say this:
bring him back.
He's a good candidate to bring back. The Wizards are a mess. Kyle Kuzma's going to probably be a free agent soon. KB wants out, and they're going to probably buy out Chris Paul. So I don't mind bringing Porzingis back because the Knicks have a tough decision to make. We know Jalen Brunson is great. Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, they can only be a third guy on a really true contender at most. So one's got to go, right? And it'll be a tough decision.
I would love to get rid of both, but it's not.
Well, RJ is only 22, so let him develop.
I guess he's never going to be the.
You can roll your eyes. He averages 20 points a game.
You know, I think RJ Barrett on a really good team could be a good 6th or 7th man.
You're wrong. Sorry.
You think he's going to be a big 3-star?
Yeah, I think he could.
I think he could up in the playoffs last year for the next.
Did not show up. You made this argument. You wanted Darius Garland. Well, he outplayed Darius Garland in the Cleveland series, and he played well in the Miami series outside of that horrific elimination game where nobody played well except for Jalen Brunson the night that we went to the Meadowlands. But he's only 22. He's still developing. He needs to improve his jump shot, though. He needs to at least be an average three-point shooter and respectable at the free throw line. And he's only 22. So at this point, he's hitting 20 points a game. He still has room to improve, and the trajectory is still going up. With Julius Randle, I think he's a 2-time All-Star. You've kind of seen everything that you're going to get out of him. He's a good player. He's got some value. I know you don't think he has value, but he does. But I think ultimately he's going to be the guy that they're going to have the tough decision, and they're going to have to move him out eventually. And in terms of Chris Paul, if he gets bought out, he's the perfect fit for the Knicks because he could be the 6th guy. He could be the point guard off the bench. He could spell Jalen Brunson. He could play Brunson 35 to 40 minutes during the regular season, and they can get back to the playoffs and maybe give Brunson those extra minutes and kind of at least have Chris Paul around to kind of help the bench unit. So I think that's a great fit there. That's something that they should look into.
I would say you got to get Chris Paul and you have to get Porzingis if you're the next. If you run it back, like it's just a waste of time.
Right. You got to make 1 or 2 ancillary moves to try to help them push them over the top. As for the Suns with Bradley Beal, I agree. Doesn't absolutely nothing for them because they don't have a bench. I would have never made the Kevin Durant trade. I don't care what you say about Kevin Durant. Maybe he's the best player in the deal, sure, but he wasn't what they needed.
They need someone who's going to be on the court.
Right.
That's not what you're getting.
They don't have a bench.
The Nets won both of their trades. Kyrie Irving, he blows up teams.
He blows up teams.
Where's Kyrie Irving going, Joe? Is he staying in Dallas?
He's trying to lure LeBron James to Dallas. That is not going to work.
LeBron's going to come to Dallas,
Yeah.
100%. He's going to call him up. I mean, Kyrie Irving is so dumb if he thinks that he's going to get LeBron James to come to Dallas. Sure, it's great. There's no state income tax. But LeBron James, he just went to the Western Conference Finals. Maybe flukish, maybe not. But they got there. His son is going to USC. You think he's going to want to leave the chance to see his son play home games at USC to go play in Dallas with Kyrie Irving, who is going to then take games off for no reason? Correct. And so makes no sense. Why would LeBron James even answer the phone from Kyrie Irving?
He won't. LeBron James is going to hang around Los Angeles until he figures out if his son is an NBA player and where he gets drafted. And then LeBron James is going to spend the final 2 years of his career in the twilight. I think he's going to push himself to play into his 40s to play with his son. Wherever his son goes, he will follow, and that is how he rides off into the sunset.
Well, I don't know if his son is going to be good enough to be a one and done here from what I'm reading, but I don't know. But, I mean, he's probably going to declare for the draft because there's going to be a team that is going to pick him. Just
hoping that LeBron is going to follow.
We're going to bring LeBron in, maybe not even to win, maybe just for marketing purposes.
Right.
So we'll see. I for years have been saying that LeBron will sign wherever his son is drafted. That's where the contract lines up. And then they're going to figure out a way to get Zion Williamson to that team. And that's going to be LeBron's chance there to win.
Let me ask you a question. Who is more likely to get traded now that we know that Damian Lillard is probably going to stay at least through the season? I think they're going to have to explore trading him eventually. But who do you think is more likely to get traded first? Zion Williamson or Karl Anthony Towns?
I mean, I would say neither are going to get traded. I don't see why would you trade either of them. I mean, if I had to pick one, I would say Karl Anthony Towns is more likely to get traded. But if you're the Timberwolves, and you could debate if Karl Anthony Towns is a superstar or not, but why would you trade him, Joe? What's the upside to trading him?
Well, because they made a stupid trade for Rudy Gobert, and they bloated their front court, and they went as far as they can go with that core group, and it's just not going to work. Right? It's the playing game. They're A-Rod. Come on. Got to be smarter over there, man.
Yeah, I don't see Zion getting traded this offseason because why you never trade low on value.
No.
So I think
his value is starting to diminish a little bit.
Well, right now it's plain and simple, Joe. Zion Williamson's a bust.
Sure.
That whole draft class, not great right now. Looking at it.
Well, Ja is great. It's just he's a head case. Right. Got to get out of your own way. And RJ will be fine. Again, his ceiling is maybe make a couple of all-star teams, be the third best player on a contender. But for the third overall pick in that class, they did fine. Darius Garland's a good player. There are a couple of other guys. So it's not a totally like a terrible draft class. But it's slightly disappointing because they're all talented and they're all kind of just like there's a little something wrong with each.
So where's Draymond Green going? Is he staying in Golden State? He declined his player option.
What's that? He's going to explore his options. I see a lot of rumblings on Twitter that maybe he goes to the Lakers because they just beat the Warriors.
So they're gonna find this cap space and they're gonna sign Draymond to a max deal. Kyrie Irving's not gonna be happy about that.
Draymond's not getting the max. If you give Draymond the Green at the max at this stage, that's silly.
Well, he could be a difference maker depending where he goes. I think he'll stay in Golden State. If they want to win, they got to keep it together. But maybe he's not well liked in the locker room after the Jordan.
I think he stays. I think he stays. I just think he wants to explore his options just a little bit.
Well, this is always my favorite part of the NBA season, the off season. So we'll see as things progress because the regular season means nothing to me as a fan of my team, which I know has no shot to ever win a championship with their current roster. So we'll see if the Knicks run it back or not. Now let's bring it to our last topic here, and that is Logan Paul showed up on Raw, Monday Night Raw last night, and he said, "You know what? I'm in Money in the Bank match, and now he's probably gonna win." So before we discuss him just putting himself in the match and not having to do a qualifier, let's discuss LA Knight coming out and cutting a great promo. And how'd you feel about that?
Yeah. LA Knight. Yeah. He's awesome.
There's a map.
Well, I keep saying this. I don't know why he stayed on SmackDown. He went to the wrong show. There was much more for him to do on Raw. They have 3 hours to fill. His persona and his character and his personality is a much better fit on the 3-hour show than it is on the 2-hour show, with all the stuff going on with the bloodline and Roman Reigns and the Civil War stuff. That takes up at least a quarter of the show. So, but I love LA Knight. I think he's awesome. I still think he's in the mix to win Money in the Bank. But I kind of lean to you. If you're going to put Logan Paul in the match, it's with the history that he has with Seth Rollins, who is now the world heavyweight champion, with the type of interest that Logan Paul has been able to generate and the eyeballs that he puts on WWE, even though his fans aren't necessarily traditionally wrestling fans. I think it's a smart decision to put the briefcase on him, simply because he could go on his podcast with the Money in the Bank briefcase. He can keep mentioning it. He could do appearances. He could do interviews, carrying the briefcase around with him. I think he would take pride in that, even though he's not necessarily a full-time superstar. And I think to continue the stuff that he did with Seth, they had a really good match at WrestleMania, and they have pretty good chemistry together. He cut a great promo last night on the ladder, that I will say. So he's gotten a lot better at this. I think he's a natural. I don't think it's necessarily the worst decision in the world.
Well, here's the thing. The Money in the Bank briefcase for the men has become totally irrelevant. It doesn't mean anything. Let's look at some of the past winners. We'll start with 2017. Okay, the last great cash in 2016, your guy, Dean Ambrose.
Right.
2017, Baron Corbin. Doesn't cash in. 2018, Braun Strowman. That whole thing with,
the SummerSlam main event with Brock and Roman.
Brock Lesnar, whatever. So it didn't work out for him, and he lost that cash in. Then 2019, Brock Lesnar just comes out. He takes the briefcase. He wants it. So, I mean, whatever. That's the same thing with Logan Paul here. So he cashed in successfully, but, we're not even going to count that one. 2020, Otis wins, which was fantastic. Would have been great in front of the fans, but he doesn't even attempt to cash in because he ends up losing his contract to The Miz. Right. Miz cashed in successfully, but he didn't win the match. So I'm going to say that's 3 right there that didn't work out. Big E, it works for him. Austin Theory doesn't work out for him. So that's 4 of the last 6 men's Money in the Bank winners that did not become champions. So it's just a prop. And there's 2 ways to go about this. Number one, you mentioned it, Logan Paul wins. He cashes in immediately, or at SummerSlam against Seth Rollins, holds the belt, did the India show, the Crown Jewel show, take it from there. Number 2, which is the way I would do it, is Logan Paul should hold the briefcase for 9-10 months. He could go do whatever he's doing with the walks around with the briefcase, does his boxing with the briefcase, does his drink stuff with the briefcase, the podcast, just walk around with the briefcase. I think that's a better way to kind of utilize that and maximize it. And every time he pops up, it's, is he going to cash in? Well, what's going to happen here? That's the way I would do it. Which way would you prefer it, and which way do you see it happening?
Well, it all depends on if Logan Paul wants to work the pay-per-views, the premium live events that they have in September. If he's willing to do that, and he's willing to kind of put in a month or 2 of full-time work, then I think the transitional run, it could work, and the cash-in could work itself. But if his schedule doesn't permit and he doesn't want to do that, then you have to go with the hot hand. You have to go with LA Knight.
It'd be great to LA Knight to win, but I think Logan Paul's winning. So what do you think the other guys in the match, or the people who aren't in the match, feel about Logan Paul just saying I'm in the match and winning the match? What does it do to locker room morale?
I mean, it depends on what the person is, because we've seen Pat McAfee, Bad Bunny, Logan Paul come in as outsiders. But you know what? They dedicate themselves. They put in the work, and whenever they do come around, they have great matches. And they put, like I said, it sometimes it's about drawing eyeballs to the product. Like we watch this crap every single week, right? Like we care about it. Sometimes it's about every now and then getting those extra eyeballs in and being able to promote themselves to a whole new audience. So in that regard, I think they appreciate it in terms of not being full-time workers. I do think maybe they feel slighted just a little bit. Um, but look at a guy like Damian Priest, right? He's not necessarily your cup of tea, but over the course of the last year, he's improved immensely. He's gotten a lot better on the microphone. He's walking around with the Judgment Day, and the WWE trusted him to have a no holds barred match with Bad Bunny. You know, a guy who doesn't do this. He's just kind of a normal guy like you and I. They trusted him and they put him in that position, and they both looked really great. They both looked like stars in Puerto Rico, and now he's got some momentum and he's in this match, right? So, you know, you asked Damian Priest, like, do you not like these guys coming in? Arguably, his best match that he's ever had in the company was with one of those, his two best matches. The match that he had at WrestleMania a couple years ago with Miz and Morrison, where he was tagging with Bad Bunny, and then the match that they had at Backlash in Puerto Rico. So you can make an argument his two best matches were involved with Bad Bunny. So I think it goes both ways. You know, I think they do like I said, the extra stuff that they get.
We'll see how it plays out. That's going to do it for this debut edition of You Know I'm Right Live. So, as we wrap up here, we are going to say thank you, everybody, for watching. And we will be back next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Like, subscribe, leave some comments. Let us know what you thought. And we thank you for taking the time to watch You Know I'm Right Live.